We're now adding Guy DeAndrea to the conversation. He's a former Philadelphia prosecutor who was assigned to investigate this case in 2015. Now, Guy, thank you for being here. You say there were signs of injustice, mishandling from the beginning. And I'm just going to ask you a broad question. What were those things? What bothers you about the handling of this case?
Right from the beginning, and not the beginning of Ellen's death, because I wasn't involved until 2015. And when I first started looking into this, I wanted to know up front. I didn't even know the story, but I thought, how could you have 20 stab wounds all over the body? How could this be a suicide? So I called the medical examiner's office, and the singular reason they provided to me was the apartment door was an old fashioned dead bolting system, meaning it's dead bolted into the frame. And because that's the way it was when Sam came upon the apartment, it meant that no one could have entered or exited, meaning it was, in fact, as bizarre as it may be, a suicide. And so when I heard that, Dr. Phil, I thought, well, then this will be as bizarre as it is, like I said, this will be a very quick reinvestigation by me. But then when I view the photographs and I see that it's not in any stretch of the imagination a deadbolt system, but rather a hotel latching mechanism. Within 30 seconds, you can go online, search how to lock or unlock that type of mechanism from outside the apartment. So right away, it just threw me that people with these actual photographs were trying to sell me on a bill of goods that's laughable in a 30-second search. A junior detective could have done that.
And this is easy to open, is what you're saying.
Incredibly easy. You could do it by using a hammer, a device, opening the door too quickly and then slamming it shut. There's so many different ways to do what someone could do inside the apartment and then stage it as being latched from the outside while you're outside.
Okay. And Nancy, you and I have read a lot of police reports and stuff. This was a misreporting. What do you make of that, Nancy?
This is what I make of it. At the time, the fiance, who was not a suspect, stated there was a witness that he brought with him when he broke in the door. Where had he been? He came back to the apartment, apparently, but then left to go just downstairs, Dr. Phil, for about a 45-minute workout. As I recall, Guy DeAndrea, that's correct. And he is caught on surveillance video going in and out of the workout club downstairs in the building. He didn't get in the car and drive through the snow and then come back an hour later. In the building. So in the space of the time that he was in the apartment, went to work out 45 minutes and came back, Ellen had been attacked and murdered brutally. Now, to the witness. The fiance says a witness came and observed him breaking in the door. This is what I found when I was researching the book. There was a night manager working downstairs, at the front desk.
Right.
Nice luxury condos, they have a doorman, all right? He's there. According to him, the fiance asked, hey, I can't get my fiance to come, can't get Ellen to come to the door. Come with me, I'm gonna break the door down. Words to that effect. And the night manager says, I can't leave here. I'm not going anywhere to break down any door. I'm not going. So there was no witness to the breaking down of the door. I'm with DeAndrea on that door lock. It was not a deadbolt. And part of the lock was still on the door after it was broken down, which means the evidence was destroyed. When you break a door down and break through the lock, as purported, you destroy the evidence. See what I mean? There was no witness.
I want to keep going here. What else did you see that really bothered you about this? The door lock bothered you. What else, Guy, bothered you about this?
It bothered me when I started reviewing all of the different photographs, the scene, and identifying up front that this wasn't done right. Meaning, when you come upon a scene as law enforcement and you see someone with 20 wounds, you don't know at that point, let's say you don't know factually what exactly happened. But when you have 20 wounds versus, let's say, someone had slit their wrist, 20 stab wounds has to be treated, at least preliminarily, as a homicide. Why is that important? Because right away, that would have required the crime scene investigative unit to come on scene, which would have meant blood testing, things such as luminol and other testing could have been done to see whether or not the presence of cleaning fluids was introduced on the scene, meaning someone killed her and then cleaned it up. That didn't happen. And it didn't happen because police officers immediately ruled this or determined this to be a suicide with almost zero investigation. So, by that determination, we'll call it, crime scene was not called to the scene, which then led to a whole series of mistakes and problems that snowballed what were preliminary mistakes into a travesty of justice that has occurred in this circumstance. And then when you get to my repeated calls with the medical examiner's office giving pushback on, hang on a second, you keep telling me it's this, then it's that. And I do some basic investigation 4 years later, and I debunk what you're saying to me. It just troubled me beyond belief every time someone was giving pushback that years later, me coming in with new eyes, it could be debunked, whatever they were saying, within minutes, if not hours.
Okay, so they didn't treat this as a crime scene. They didn't come in and look to see if it had been professionally cleaned or staged or anything of the sort. And when you asked the medical examiner for information about the stab wounds and all, were they forthcoming with you about all of this? Life is full of surprises, and emergencies often strike when we least expect them. But preparation is key, and that's where Jace Case comes in. With Jace Case, you'll have essential emergency prescription medications right at your fingertips, ready when you need them most. Whether it's an unexpected illness or a travel mishap, having the right meds on hand can turn a potential crisis into just a minor inconvenience. Don't let the unexpected catch you off guard. Jace Case gives you peace of mind so you can tackle life surprises with confidence. Be ready. Take charge today. Head over to jace.com. That's JASE.com. And when you check out, use the code PHIL, spelled PHIL, to get a discount on your order and to have the right meds on hand the moment you need them. When you asked the medical examiner for information about the stab wounds and all, were they forthcoming with you about all of this?
Not at all, not all the time. It took pushing. And what I mean by that, Dr. Phil, one of the things that sort of rocked me to my core is when I read in Dr. Osborne's the autopsy report, the Dr. Rourke from the University of Pennsylvania, who was used as a neuropathologist because there wasn't one on staff, so it was a per diem, if you will, or an ad hoc. And there was an indication that she did a neuropathological examination of the spinal column. So when I saw that, I said, okay, let me see that report because she would have produced her own report, right? And then it was, well, we don't have that report. Okay, well, show me the logs that shows she was there to perform it. We don't have those either. Okay, show me the billing statements that show you paid this doctor as you should have for her work. We don't have that. So then I call, Dr. Rourke years and years and years and years ago, and there was no recollection of doing this. And I don't mean like I don't remember one way or another. It was a very clear I didn't do this. And when I would push, how do you have an examination was done in your report when it's clear by every piece of evidence or lack thereof that it wasn't in fact done? And never got a good answer on that. And it bothers me so tremendously to this day that things were just flat out put into a medical examiner's report that are not true, patently false.
So it was logged, but it wasn't invoiced. There was nothing to substantiate that this was actually done.
That's exactly right.
Well, I want to talk more about this. And coming up, Ellen's fiance recently broke his silence 13 years after Ellen's death. We're going to tell you what he had to say when we get back. And I want to say again, and I'm saying this because he is not here to defend himself, that I'm not suggesting that he is the culprit here. He's not been named as a person of interest. He is not a suspect. He's not ever been charged, indicted, or anything of the sort. And you'll have to make up your own mind. We're just talking about the evidence here. Nancy said it well. It looks like somebody here has done something terrible, causing the death of this young woman. We can't even get the authorities to agree on that, but it looks awfully suspicious. We just want to know if somebody did something, who it was. We're not suggesting that it was the fiance, and he's not here to defend himself, so I'll say again, we're not suggesting that it's him. The evidence is what it is. You have to make up your own mind. We'll be right back. Tonight, we're discussing the mysterious case of Ellen Greenberg. Now, Ellen's fiance, Sam Goldberg, recently spoke, telling CNN in an email statement, and I quote, "When Ellen took her own life, it left me bewildered. She was a wonderful and kind person who had everything to live for. When she died, a part of me died with her. Unimaginably, in the years that have passed, I have had to endure the unimaginable passing of my future wife and the pathetic and despicable attempts to desecrate my reputation and her privacy by creating a narrative that embraces lies, distortions, and falsehoods in order to avoid the truth. Mental illness is very real and has many victims. I hope and pray that you never lose someone you love like I did to a terrible disease and then be accused by ignorant and misinformed people of causing her death. If you're really writing a truthful story, dig deeper, and please do some good by raising awareness for mental health." End of quote. We reached out to Sam through his attorney and did not hear back. Joshua, Sandy, any response to that statement?
I have no comment.
I do. It's the most disgusting thing I've ever heard. There's not an ounce of truth in it. We have for 14, or whatever the time is, 14 years here, never pointed a finger at who we thought did this or any way, shape, or form. So I have no idea what he's talking about. We have done this by the book. No jumping on tables, no acting out like a moron or an idiot, no excited father or mother. We have done this professionally. And we never have ever said who we thought might have been the person that actually murdered Ellen. But we do believe she was a victim of a homicide, a murder, a savage and brutal murder.
So you have no doubt in your mind that she is the victim of foul play, that she was murdered here, and lots of signs point to that. You're not saying that it was him. You're not suggesting it was him. You're just saying someone took your daughter's life. You believe that to the core of your soul.
I believe there was a murderer and a female abuser loose in Philadelphia or someplace comparable that was involved in this particular incident. That's what I believe.
And Nancy, you believe that a crime has been committed here.
I have no doubt in my mind. Ellen was murdered. Ellen did not stab herself 20 times at one of the most happy times in her life. And again, I would like to point out, this is not about Sam Goldberg. It's not about him. I'm not making it about him. This is about Ellen. I have a daughter. I have a son. I, like Josh and Sandy, would want justice. Who did this? We're not even at that point. I don't know who did it, but I know she was murdered. We have to get to the fact finding, the independent fact finding as to what happened to Ellen before we can even guess who may have done it. So this isn't about him. That's why he hasn't been named a suspect or a POI, because he's not. This has to be reopened. Another thing, Dr. Phil, I just want to point out that at the beginning, Dr. Marlon Osborne stated, I have enough evidence to rule this is a homicide. Then there was a closed door meeting between him, police, and somebody from the DA's office that has gotten immunity over what happened in that meeting. Why? Why does the prosecutor, who's supposed to be wearing the white hat, need immunity over this meeting? Then after that meeting, bam! Oh, yeah, it's a suicide. You know another thing about Lucy Rourke, Dr. Lucy Rourke, the neuropathologist? She doesn't even remember any examination of the sheath around the spine. She doesn't remember any of that happening. And according to Osborne, he took the sample, what, in a pickle jar, and walked through the snow to Rourke, who met him outside and looked at it. No white jackets, no microscope, nothing. That didn't happen. So why is it in that autopsy report? It didn't happen. I'll tell you what I think, Dr. Phil. I think it was a sloppy scene recovery. They decided, oh, no forced entry, suicide. And then everything snowballed from there to cover for the sloppy job at the scene. And here we are today. And Shapiro, you too. You were in the AG's office. You wouldn't open this case. Now you're the governor. Here's your chance to finally do the right thing, Shapiro.